Hey everyone, I had my second ketamine infusion today and it went really well. They upped my dose from zero point 0.4 to 0.46. I'm not sure how that stacks up. I think the normal starting dose for most people is like 0.5. But I went under because I'm sensitive and anxious and all of that jazz. So it went well. I am really tired. So if you see me kind of stumbling on words or being a little bit slower, like just there, that's kind of like what happens after these infusions. They say it's kind of your brain is literally creating new pathways. It reaches your amygdala. So anyway, it it affects my memory the day of, and I feel really tired. So I'm just kind of out of it and really tired today. But I feel good. I don't feel very much pain. I don't feel anxious. I feel some depression, but it's not as bad as it just was. Um, there's different things different messages that I got, like the first beginning of it. And granted, I don't know necessarily about time because time is kind of irrelevant when you're doing this stuff. You sort of disconnect from your body and go into your mind a lot. I got messages of, I kept saying to my husband, life is good. Life is good. um, and music is everything. I, again, put on like my yoga zen chill, I forget what it's called, Buddha Moon or something like that. So that seemed to really puts me in a very trance-like hypnotic state. So that was the first part, was I kind of was like, life is good. And then I told my husband I want to look at nature. And so he flipped the chair recliner around and they opened the blinds. And I just looked at the trees and, it's in kind of like a woodsy spot. So I did that and was looking around and I was like, oh, I got to heal this earth. And I kind of felt myself in real time, like putting my hands out and like healing with love. And that's just kind of the message that I got. That was like the main point today, was that I'm a healer and I need to help heal the earth. And I know that can sound so crazy and woo-woo, but I don't care. That's my experience. And I definitely feel like I'm spiritual, and I feel very connected to the earth, and that was very clear in my experience today. So it was really good and positive. I thought about snakes. So snakes are one of my biggest fears. And I thought about snakes and I was like, I am the snake. Don't fear the snake. Don't fear yourself. So that was kind of another weird, deep message. So this stuff is so weird and super hard to explain. It's nothing like I've ever experienced before. Yeah, it's hard to put into words. And it's always positive for me so far. Like I'm finding that it's not really negative for me thus far, knock on wood. Because they say, some sessions are perfectly fine, and then the next session, like you have like a really bad reaction. So yeah, no, it was pretty cool and chill for me, and it felt really good. And I'm hoping that this stuff works. I just found out nasal ketamine spray it is today FDA approved. So I am so happy to hear that. It means probably insurance companies will cover it and more people will be able to get, they'll be able to get this medicine. And I have treatment resistant depression. I've tried 10, 20, I don't know, a whole bunch of them. And so this is like a huge deal for people like me. And I know I'm not the only one. The more I talk about my struggles, the more people reach out to me privately. I get a lot of messages of, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful you're sharing your story because I don't feel alone and I feel hope again that there's something out there that might help me. Um, we don't have to suffer. That was another message during this was we are all in this together, um, and nobody needs to suffer alone. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with me. We just all have our stuff. We all have hurts and pains and suffering, and we don't have to do this alone. I'm so tired of the stigma that surrounds mental illness in general. Like, you would never stigmatize somebody with MS or cancer or diabetes or any of that. Like, why would you? It's so frustrating. It's one of my biggest kind of issues with kind of mental health, and because it's invisible. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox, sorry. um, so yeah, it was a good experience, and I'm hoping more people read about it and it becomes more researched, and I'm just really hopeful for people like me, that I can kind of give us life. I mean, I kind of went from, like, when I first got my first ketamine infusion, sort of, it was like I went in sort of like black and white. Very flat, very depressed. And I've tried everything. So, and then it sort of brought this like big, beautiful color, like brought some life back into my life. And then this experience kind of did a similar thing. So I feel very hopeful about it. If you have any questions or anything, or you want to talk about it, I'll do my best. I'm trying to really practice self-care and self-love throughout this whole thing, because that's critical. Being out in nature, journaling, yoga, I meditate every day. You can't just do these treatments. Like, it needs to be sort of a whole person experience. So anyway, I love you. We're on this together. Life can be really challenging. I'm reading the Celestine Prophecy. I don't know if you've read it or not, but it's a really good book, and it sort of syncs up to my experience. So anyway, I love you. Many blessings.